My guess is that each one of us has moments where maybe we feel a little bit inadequate. And whether you're a preacher or a teacher, a writer, a cook at a restaurant, you work in a beauty salon, engineer, whatever you are, a musician, that there are times when maybe you feel like you didn't give it your A game and you feel like you kind of fell short. You know, I get nervous every Sunday. And I wonder, it's easy to give preacher talk, but do the words that you say and the message that we share, does it go with you out the door? Does it make a difference in the way you are when you go back to your family, to your job, or wherever Sunday afternoon and Monday and Tuesday are going to lead you? I had an interesting wedding this week. It was there's an old church at the corner of West Avenue, 143rd in Orland Park, and they had that building with the Twin Towers. And the Twin Towers are not a church. That's not part of the church. It's kind of become a wedding chapel. And they have an organization that kind of runs it, and people can get their weddings there. And so the leader of that group called me 2 or 3 weeks ago and says, "Don, would you be willing to do a wedding at the wedding chapel?" And I said, "Well, why doesn't your minister do it?" "Well, he won't go there." "Okay, well, fine." So the wedding was at 11:30 on Wednesday. So I knew something was weird. 11:30 on a Wednesday. Well, the family came in to meet me, and they didn't know me, and I didn't know them. And the family was unique. It's an African-American couple. They each had 3 kids, and they were coming together as one family. And they wanted to have a wedding, but they just wanted to have kind of close friends and family. So one way to do that is have it at 11:30 on a Wednesday. And so you want to cut down on gifts. So they came in to meet me, and it was kind of fun. And the kids are just so innocent. Like the one little kid looks around and he says, "Pastor, do you have any black people in your church?" And I said, "Well, if you join, we will." But he saw my son Quentin on the wall. And I said, "Well, that's my son." And then, anyway, we had the wedding. And I got there a little early. And I got there to do the wedding, and there was a big video screen in front of the church. And it said on the video screen, "If you think the wedding's going to start at 11:30, you're wrong, because you're going to have to get to know our family first." And they had a 15-minute presentation of how their family got together. It was really very tender. And occasionally there was a comment like, "Are you looking for the guest book?" "There is no guest book. You're the guest book." And it was just very touching. And the bride, she was in control of this whole thing. So she said, "Now, Pastor, during the last song, you go up front." I said, "Fine." And so I went up and said, "And as soon as you go up front, my fiance is going to walk up there by himself. And then the kids are going to walk up there. And then he's going to come back here, and we're going to walk up there together. And it's nice to have somebody in control of this stuff." So I'm up at the front of the church, and the groom starts to walk in to a beautiful gospel song. And he danced his way all the way up the middle aisle. And then the kids came in. And they passed out flowers and stuff to all the people there. There weren't a lot of people there, maybe 30 or 35 people. A lot of older grandmas and great-grandmas and stuff like that. And then he went down and got his bride, and they walked up together, and they danced all the way up the middle aisle. And so the wedding party's there. The wedding is about to begin, and I'm standing there, and I said, "How did you get stuck with a 74-year-old Swedish minister to do your wedding?" And kind of broke the ice. But I realized, I wasn't sure what to expect. That why do we ever apologize for diversity? I mean, sure, my background so different than theirs. And yet somehow there was a blending of the human spirit that added chemistry and goodness and love to the room. And, we let so many things in life separate us, whether it's age or religion or culture or color. And that doesn't have to be. Because we can come together when we realize that we're all God's children and bound together by the beauty and majesty of God's Spirit and the human spirit. And we talk a lot more in life, I think, about what's wrong with the world, and there's plenty to talk about. But one of the things that I love about talking about Jesus is that Jesus, in his humble, gentle words, focused on what was right. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are the humble. Blessed are the peacemakers. And even when he was dying on the cross, he looked down at the people there and he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. So often, rules and regulations keep us apart, but the human spirit can bring us together when we hold on to and grasp the good stuff that binds us together. You know, one of the big stories this week, of course, was Damar Hamlin. And whether you watch the game or not, or watch football or not, I think all of us were touched by what happened and scared by what happened. But I was thinking, there's two opposing teams on their knees on the football field praying for one of their comrades. And he was only one person. And yet somehow what happened to him, it's like it united a nation. Because that moment in time taught us and still teaches us, my God, what's important in life and what's not. And when you come together in prayer, when you come together because you care, when you put all the stuff aside that keeps us apart and you focus on that, it just makes the world a stronger and better place. And I guess I just don't understand why we can't do that more often, because there's such power in what happened. You know, I think of our little church over the past 3 years and all that we've gone through. And you know, the only reason we survived and have survived is because when the pandemic started, we hung together. Even those of you that couldn't come to church for a long time. Somehow we came together, we bound together, and we were determined that this place, which is an important place to each one of us in our own way, we were determined that this place was going to survive. And I just think of one football player, one human being, one church, one community, one person, one prayer at a time. And it's amazing where the power is. And I think of the second lesson that Madeline just read, where it says, I pray that Christ will make home in your hearts. You know, there's lots of different religions. There's different Lutheran religions. There's all kinds of rules about what you have to do to be a member, or whether or not you can get baptized or take communion. There's only one thing that matters. When you walk out the door, do you have the love of Christ in your heart? When you go to work tomorrow, when you take care of your family tomorrow, when you go to visit grandma in rehab tomorrow, do you go there with Christ in your heart? Because when you have Christ in your heart, that's where the whole religion thing comes alive and makes a difference and is a positive force in the world. All that matters is the spirit that we carry inside our soul. Every morning I listen to WGN. I used to laugh at my dad because he listened to WGN, now me. But Bob Surratt, who is now about 95 years old, every morning at 7:20, he's on the phone live with a guy named Joseph from the Ukraine. And Joseph has been there through the whole conflict. And he has family there. And the other day, because it is the Ukrainian Christmas, it was Christmas Day yesterday, Christmas Eve the day before that, and when he was on the radio, it was late afternoon, it was morning for us, people were in a church singing Christmas carols. And as they were singing Christmas carols, you could hear the sirens go off and the bombs in the air, and they did not move. They continued to sing. And he talked about how much power there was in the spirit inside of that church. And that's what sustains them. You know, there's lots of stuff that goes on in the world. There's lots of stuff going on in your life, a lot of stuff going on in my life, lots of stuff that's wrong in the world, and lots of things that we share. But I do not know this, that bombs and all, I and you will never stop singing. Amen. If you're able to, please rise for the creed.